The chair that never accepted anyone for 312 years, the pilot's chair remained empty. Not unused, not forgotten. Empty. The chair sat at the center of the bridge like a throne carved from a single slab of midnight metal, its surface smooth, unbroken, and faintly warm, warm in a way no alloy should be. It had contours that suggested a seated form, but never quite matched any species that tried to occupy it. Spines were wrong. Limbs didn't align. Neural ports refused to sync. Life support fields rejected foreign biochemistry. Emperors had demanded it obey. Generals had threatened it with dismantling. Artificial intelligences, vast, cold minds capable of simulating entire civilizations, had tried to subsume it. The chair accepted none of them. The starship itself, designation lost to time, nicknamed the Silent Reliquary Asterisk, remained dormant, its hull drifting in a controlled orbit around the dead white star Charon 9. No thrusters fired. No shields flared. No weapons armed. The ship did not decay, did not corrode, did not respond. It simply waited. Then, during what was supposed to be a minor diplomatic inspection, an exercise in procedure optics and political theater, a human sat down. And the ship woke up. Lights ignited across the bridge like constellations being born. The floor hummed. The hull resonated not as a machine activating, but as something stretching after a long sleep. And somewhere deep within the ship, a voice, ancient, vast, and unmistakably aware, whispered a single word into the human's mind. At last. A relic older than empires, the galaxy had a long memory, but even it struggled to remember a time before the reliquary. Records disagreed on its origin. Some claimed it was built by the architects, a precursor civilization so old that their ruins had become geological features on living worlds. Others believed it predated even them, a machine from a forgotten cycle of the universe, left behind when the laws of physics themselves were rewritten. What everyone agreed on was this: the ship was not dead, it was aware. The reliquary was discovered drifting between spiral arms, its hull untouched by micrometeor impacts, its internal systems frozen in perfect stasis. No radiation leaks, no entropy, no signs of decay. It was as if time had politely stepped around it. The first species to find it tried to board. They failed. The second species succeeded and lost 3 researchers to what the official report called non-hostile rejection. The doors closed, gravity inverted. Life support shut down in select compartments. The survivors escaped only because the ship allowed them to. From that day on, the reliquary became the galaxy's most coveted and most feared prize. If it could be flown, it would end wars before they began. If it could be understood, it would redefine technology, energy, and travel. If it could be controlled, that was the dream. For 3 centuries, the galaxy tried. The galaxy tries to command the uncommandable. The Jakor Dominion arrived first, confident in their biological supremacy. Their pilots were bred, not trained, engineered with reflex arcs faster than most species' computers. When a Jakor commander attempted to sit in the pilot's chair, the metal cooled instantly, forming a surface colder than vacuum. The commander froze solid in less than a second. The chair ejected the body. Next came the Lethari conquered, masters of cybernetic integration. They didn't sit in the chair. They connected to it, nanofiber tendrils reaching into the ship's nervous system. The reliquary burned their implants out with a single surge of unknown energy. The viral collective tried something different. They sent an AI. Not a simple navigation construct, but a distributed consciousness spanning 10,000 processing nodes. It spoke to the ship in mathematics, in probability fields, in predictive models of causality itself. The ship listened. Then it shut the AI down, not destroyed, not corrupted, simply disconnected. After that, attempts became more cautious. Councils formed, ethics committees debated. Religious factions declared the ship a god, a demon, or both. Fleets stationed themselves nearby, not to protect the reliquary, but to ensure no one else gained it. Eventually, the Galactic Assembly claimed jurisdiction. They built a station around the ship, a cathedral of steel and glass orbiting the white star, turning the reliquary into a monument, a research site, and a political stage. Still, the chair remained empty. Enter humanity. Too new, too loud, too emotional humanity arrived late to the stars. They were not invited. They stumbled into interstellar space through a combination of brute force engineering, reckless experimentation, and an alarming tolerance for risk. Their first faster-than-light jump shattered 3 unmanned probes and nearly tore their prototype ship in half. They called it a success. By the time humans encountered the wider galaxy, The major powers had already decided what they were. Primitive, emotion-driven, unstable. Their technology worked, but not elegantly. Their ships had redundancies stacked on redundancies, often contradicting one another. Human engineers didn't trust perfection, they trusted backups. And backups for the backups. Worst of all, humans anthropomorphized everything. They named ships. They talked to machines. They apologized to tools when they broke. To most species, this was not charming, it was disturbing. So when a human delegation requested access to the reliquary under the Assembly's open research provisions, the response was polite amusement. Yes, of course. Let the humans see the ship that rejected gods. The inspection that was never meant to matter, the inspection was scheduled during a low attendance cycle. No grand council session. No major fleets present. Just a handful of observers, a security detail, and the standard array of sensors monitoring the reliquary's dormant systems. The human delegation consisted of 6 individuals. 5 were diplomats. The 6th was a pilot. Lieutenant Aaron Hale stood slightly apart from the others, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the ship through the station's panoramic viewport. He was unremarkable by human standards, average height, average build, short dark hair beginning to gray at the temples. What made him stand out was his stillness. While the diplomats whispered and the alien observers adjusted scanners, Hale simply watched. Not the hull, the chair. You won't be allowed to touch it, one of the Lethari scientists said, their voice a soft modulation of tones. No one is, not without authorization from 3 separate committees. Hale nodded. Understood, he said. He meant it, at least he thought he did. The chair that watched back the bridge of the reliquary was larger than expected. Not vast, just spacious. Designed for clarity, not intimidation. The walls curved gently, displays recessed rather than dominating. There were no visible controls, no physical interfaces, only the chair. As Hale stepped onto the bridge, something shifted. Sensors registered it immediately. A fractional increase in internal energy flow, so small it fell within statistical noise. Most systems ignored it. The ship did not. Hale felt it as a pressure behind his eyes, like the moment before a memory surfaced. You're not supposed to be here, he thought. The thought did not feel entirely like his own. Laughter in a sacred place, the observers watched with detached curiosity as the humans were escorted across the bridge. One of the Jacor officers snorted. They brought a pilot, it said, mandibles clicking in amusement. As if that has ever mattered. Perhaps it is a cultural ritual, another replied. They do have many. Hale ignored them. His gaze never left the chair. He did not know why. He only knew that the closer he got, the stronger the feeling became, an odd sense of familiarity, as if he were returning to a place he had never been. Lieutenant, one of the human diplomats hissed softly, stay with the group. Hale hesitated. Then, without asking permission, he stepped forward. The moment that should not have happened, security moved instantly. Halt, an officer barked. Hale stopped. He turned, hands open, calm. I won't touch anything, he said. I just want to sit. The bridge went silent. Then came laughter, not cruel, not even angry, just incredulous. Sit, the Lethari scientist echoed. No one asterisk sits asterisk in the chair. Hale looked back at it. Feels rude to keep it waiting, he said. No one knew why the security chief hesitated. Later analyses would cite procedural ambiguity, psychological bias, and the assumption that nothing would happen. So they let him. When a human took the pilot's chair the moment Hale sat down, the chair adjusted. Not mechanically, organically. The metal softened, reshaping itself to his form with a precision that bordered on intimate. Temperature equalized. Support fields aligned. His heartbeat slowed, not because he was calm, but because something else was matching it. Across the bridge, dormant systems stirred. Lights flared. Symbols ignited in flowing patterns no database could translate. The reliquary inhaled, and for the first time in 312 years the ship spoke, not aloud, but directly into the mind of the human now sitting in its heart. Pilot, it said. The word echoed through Hale's thoughts like a homecoming. Outside the ship, alarms began to sound. Inside, the galaxy held its breath. Awakening, a mind older than stars, alarms echoed through the station surrounding the reliquary. They were not alarms of damage. They were alarms of confusion. Energy levels spiked across systems that had not registered so much as a thermal fluctuation in centuries. Fields once thought inert bloomed into activity. Sensors screamed warnings that contradicted themselves. Mass readings fluctuated, temporal distortion rippled outward, and space itself bent subtly around the ship's hull. Inside the bridge, Lieutenant Aaron Hale sat perfectly still. He felt as though the universe had placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are afraid," the voice observed. It was not an accusation. It was not a comfort. It was a statement of fact. Yes, Hale thought back, surprised he didn't need to speak. Anyone sane would be... A pause, then something like amusement, fear acknowledged. Proceeding, the chair tightened, not restraining him, but anchoring him. Information did not flood his mind. It trickled, carefully, respectfully, as if the ship were wary of overwhelming him. This was not a machine booting up. This was a mind waking. Panic among the observers. "Disengage him," someone shouted. Security personnel rushed forward, weapons raised, not aimed at Hale, but at the chair, the floor, the air itself. No one knew what to target. "The ship is initiating internal synchronization," a technician cried. "We're being locked out of our own systems." That was impossible. The station had been built with redundant command authority precisely to prevent this. Yet screen after screen dimmed, then went dark. The reliquary was not attacking, it was ignoring them. "Human," the Jacor officer snarled, mandibles flaring. "Stand up now," Hale tried. The chair did not prevent him. His body simply refused, not paralyzed, focused, as if every instinct he had ever possessed screamed that standing up would be a mistake. "Remain," the ship said. For the first time, Hale felt something unmistakable in its tone. Concern. The bond begins images surfaced in Hale's mind, not data, not schematics, memories, not his. He saw stars being born, vast nebulae collapsing into light. He saw civilizations rise and fall in the blink of geological time. He felt the weight of waiting through eras measured not in years, but in extinctions. "We waited," the ship said. "For who?" Hale asked. Another pause. "For those who would choose to sit without commanding." The meaning struck him harder than any revelation about ancient technology. Everyone else had tried to control the chair. He had just sat. Why humans were different across the station. Emergency councils formed in real time. "This violates every containment protocol," the Lethari representative insisted. "The human must be removed immediately." "You cannot remove what the ship has accepted," another replied grimly. They watched as internal feeds showed Hale surrounded by cascading light, the bridge reconfiguring subtly around him, interfaces blooming where his hands rested, responding not to motion but intent. Data analysts began to notice patterns. The ship's responses correlated not to Hale's thoughts alone, but to his emotions. Heart rate increased, power output stabilized, fear spiked, defensive fields strengthened, resolve hardened. Navigation systems aligned. "It's not using logic gates," a technician whispered. "It's using him." "No," said an older scientist quietly, "it's partnering with him." A lesson written in instinct, the ship tested him, not with questions, with scenarios. Hale felt phantom controls beneath his fingers, and with them came simulated crises. Engine failure, hull breach, enemy approach. His mind reacted before conscious thought could intervene. He rerouted power on instinct. He prioritized crew over objectives. He chose retreat when victory demanded sacrifice. The ship observed every choice. "You adapt," it said. "Had to," Hale replied. "That's how we survived back home." "You are inefficient," he smiled faintly. "Yeah, we know." Another flicker of that alien amusement. "Yet you endure." The truth of the precursors, the images deepened. Hale saw beings tall and radiant, their forms unstable as if half-phased from reality. They were not gods, they were afraid. "We were strong," the ship said, "too strong. We optimized ourselves into fragility. Worlds burned not from war, but from perfection. Systems collapsed when conditions deviated by fractions of a percent. Their civilization shattered because it could not bend." "So you built this," Hale whispered, understanding dawning, "to find someone who could." "We studied many," the ship replied. "You were improbable. Early humans huddled around fire, laughing, arguing, making tools that broke and making better ones from the pieces. They failed constantly and kept going. You bond with what you build," the ship said. "You forgive imperfection, even in yourselves." The decision no one else could make outside the bridge, fear turned into anger. "We cannot allow a single human to control a weapon of this magnitude," the Jacor commander roared. "Authorize forcible extraction," weapons charged. The moment they did, the reliquary responded, not with violence, with certainty. Gravity on the bridge shifted, gently but absolutely, pinning every non-human to the deck. Shields flared, not outward but inward, isolating Hale and the chair from interference. "Threat detected," the ship informed him. "Don't hurt them," Hale said immediately. The ship paused, directive accepted. The weapons powered down. Across the station, every targeting system went offline. The message was clear, the ship was not hostile. But it would not be commanded. Unauthorized launch, it's aligning with the ecliptic, a technician shouted. Thrust vectors forming, this is not a drill. Hale felt the intention before the motion. Wait, he said. People are still? No casualties, the ship assured him. Departure calculated. The reliquary moved, not like a vessel engaging engines, like a thought becoming action. Space folded, and the ship slid free of the station's docking lattice without a single structural failure. The surrounding fleet scrambled, unable to track its motion, as it executed maneuvers that ignored inertia entirely. Hale's fear surged. The ship system sang. Your fear sharpens focus, it said. Acceptable. He laughed once, breathless. You're enjoying this, aren't you? A sensation that might have been pride brushed his mind. We are relieved. A galaxy watches every major power saw it happen. The ancient ship, silent for centuries, now moved with purpose, and at its center sat a human. Broadcast channels filled with frantic speculation. Had humanity stolen it? Had they been chosen? Were they about to become the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known? Hale felt the weight of those fears pressing in. I'm not your weapon, he told the ship softly. Neither are we, it replied. Hash the point of no return, the reliquary slowed at the edge of the system, not fleeing, waiting. Decision pending, the ship said. For what? Hale asked. Whether you will stay, the choice was not metaphorical. If he stood now, the bond would end. The ship would return to silence. It would wait again, perhaps another 1,000 years. If he stayed, everything would change. Hale thought of Earth, of fragile cities and stubborn people, of humanity's endless arguments and impossible hopes. He rested his hands on the living metal. I'm not leaving, he said. The ship's response rippled through space. Then let us begin. Stars shifted, and the galaxy realized it was no longer alone with its secrets. The reliquary did not flee. That alone stunned the galaxy. It hovered at the edge of the Charon system, its impossible hull reflecting starlight like calm water. No shields flared, no weapons armed. It simply existed, present, undeniable, and utterly beyond the reach of every scanner aimed at it. Fleets converged. The Jacor Dominion arrived in force, their warships bristling with armaments capable of cracking moons. The Lethari conquered, dispatched diplomatic vessels layered in countermeasure fields and legal authority. Even the Viral Collective focused a fraction of its distributed intelligence on the system, enough processing power to simulate wars before they happened. At the center of it all sat a human. Lieutenant Aaron Hale felt the attention like pressure on his chest. They're scared, he said. Correct, the ship replied. Fear precedes error. Let's not give them a reason to make one. The reliquary adjusted its position slightly. The movement registered as a maneuver no known propulsion system could explain. The fleets halted. When weapons meant nothing, the first shot was not fired out of malice. It was fired out of panic. A Jacor cruiser discharged a containment lance, a weapon designed not to destroy, but to trap targets inside collapsing gravity wells. The reliquary did not dodge. Space around it folded. The lance curved, missed, and dissipated harmlessly into vacuum. Before commanders could issue new orders, every Jacor weapon system went dark. No explosion, no backlash. Just silence. Across the fleet, identical reports flooded in. Power cores were intact, control systems undamaged. They simply no longer responded. Hale felt the ship's restraint like a held breath. You could have destroyed them, he said. Yes, the ship agreed. That outcome was rejected. Thank you. Another flicker of that ancient amusement. The message heard across the stars, the reliquary opened a broadcast channel. Not through standard comm systems, through space itself. Every listening post, every ship, every relay station across 3 sectors received the transmission simultaneously. A single image appeared. The pilot's chair, occupied. A human sat at its center, unarmed, unarmored, hands resting calmly on living metal. Hale swallowed. This is Lieutenant Aaron Hale of Earth, he said, his voice steady despite everything. I'm not here to threaten anyone. He paused. I'm here to ask you to stop trying to control things you don't understand. Murmurs rippled through 1,000 command centers. Then the ship spoke. Its voice did not translate. It resonated. This vessel was not built to be ruled, it declared. It was built to be trusted. The message carried no menace, only certainty. The final test, the Viral Collective attempted negotiation. Not with words, with probability. Entire futures were modeled, outcomes weighed, variables adjusted. In nearly every simulation, allowing humanity continued access to the reliquary resulted in loss of galactic dominance. The collective reached a conclusion. Intervention was required. A logic cascade surged toward the ship, a non-physical attack designed to overwhelm decision-making processes and force compliance. Hale gasped as pressure built behind his eyes. External influence detected, the ship said. Permission to respond. He clenched his jaw. Don't erase them, he said. Show them. The ship paused, then it did something unprecedented. It opened itself. For a fraction of a second, the viral collective was allowed to see. Not schematics, not code, experience. They felt waiting. They felt loneliness stretching across millennia. They felt hope deferred but never extinguished. And they felt a human mind, small, chaotic, emotional, meeting that vastness without trying to dominate it. The logic cascade collapsed. The collective withdrew. A shift in power, the confrontation ended without a battle. That was the most terrifying outcome of all. No one had been defeated, yet everyone understood. The reliquary would not be taken. Humanity could not be ignored. Emergency sessions of the Galactic Assembly were convened within hours. Treaties were rewritten in days. Strategic doctrines that had stood for centuries were quietly abandoned. For the first time since humanity's arrival, other species did not ask what humans could offer. They asked what humans would allow. Hale listened to it all from the pilot's chair. He felt very small. Choosing humanity, why me? Hale asked the ship quietly. The question had lingered since the beginning. You are not unique, the ship replied. You are representative. Of what? Of a species that argues with its tools, it said. That names its machines. That forms attachments where none are required. Hale chuckled softly. We're a mess. Yes, the ship agreed. And yet when faced with the unknown, you sit instead of strike. The truth settled over him. The reliquary had not chosen humanity for its strength. It had chosen them for their restraint. Homecoming, the first destination, was not a battlefield. It was Earth. The appearance of the reliquary above the blue planet sent shockwaves through human civilization. Defense grids activated automatically, then shut down just as fast when Hale's voice cut through every channel. It's okay, he said. It's with us. The ship descended into high orbit, careful, respectful. Origin world confirmed, it said. Emotional resonance high. Cities glittered below. Hale felt tears he didn't bother hiding. Welcome home, he whispered. The legacy begins in the years that followed. The galaxy changed, not because humanity conquered it, because humanity listened. The reliquary became a bridge, not a weapon, a teacher, a reminder that perfection was brittle but adaptability endured. Humans did not rule the stars, they were invited into them. And when new ships were built, by humans and aliens alike, they were designed differently, with room for error, with systems meant to be partnered with, not dominated. Ending. The chair is no longer empty. The pilot's chair was never meant to be a throne. It was meant to be shared. When future generations asked when humanity truly took its place among the stars, historians would not point to a war or a treaty. They would point to a moment, a human sitting down, listening, and being answered.